et crédible.
Ça y est, c'est parti, on va suivre la PNQ avec Priscilla Sadien et Jagdish Paul en studio. Bonjour.
Bonjour Yannick, bonjour à tous. Merci, vous pouvez rejoindre nous pour cette séance de la PNQ. À mes côtés, Jagdish Paul, bonjour.
Bonjour Priscilla, Yannick, bonjour auditeurs et internautes, bonjour également.
La violence domestique au cœur de la Private Notice Question à l'Assemblée nationale ce mardi. Xavier-Luc Duval qui questionne ministre du genre et du bien-être de la famille, Kalpana Kunjusha. L'IP intéresse à ban homicide qui finit commettre en 2022 et de janvier 2023 à ce jour, qui est lié à la violence domestique. Xavier Duval qui voulait aussi connaître le nombre de suspects avec ban antécédent de violence domestique qui finit précédemment signalé à ban autorité conformément à la loi prévention de la violence domestique, Jagdish.
Oui, Priscilla, c'est un phénomène de société et surtout c'est la sensibilité qui touche directement toute la population quand il y a un crime, un cas d'homicide qui est rapporté. Dernier en date, il y a une femme qui finit donc victime. C'est un homicide à Pérébert, donc à 47 ans, du fin étouillé, donc par ce conjoint, par ce compagne. Alors, depuis 2021-2022, finalement, certaines statistiques qui sont publiées qui montraient que 86,7% c'est une femme qui est victime, Priscilla, de violence. Il y a exploitation sexuelle, et il y a un cas qui concerne surtout crime, viol, agression, privation économique, harcèlement, humiliation, exploitation. Et là, Xavier Duval peut demander, il y a des aspects dans sa question-là qui nous pouvons bien suivre. D'abord, le nombre de crimes qui finissent commettre, nombre d'homicides, et un cas qui est lié avec violence domestique, qui n'est pas nécessairement un crime, donc c'est un cas qui passait un peu couramment dans une famille. Et là, ça peut permettre à la ministre responsable de peut-être évoquer qu'il y a un comité national, l'élimination violence contre femmes. Et en juillet 2023, d'ailleurs, Madame Kalpana Kunjusha peut dire qu'une femme locale à Maurice, c'est une femme battue, une forme de violence domestique, donc qui peut perpétuer et quand même une stratégie, un plan d'action national qui définit la question pour qui est capable au moins, c'est-à-dire réduire les risques d'exploitation de bonnes femmes dans le pays.
Alors là, nous prenons tout de suite la direction de l'Assemblée nationale pour suivre cette séance de la PNQ.
I have received a request from the Honorable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education. Honorable members, I have an announcement to make regarding the order of business for the debate on public bills. I have received a request from the Honorable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology for the debate on the Mauritius Commercial Bank Foundation Amendment Bill to be taken out of turn. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 17.2, I have acceded to the request and the Assembly will proceed accordingly. I thank you.
Those papers have been laid. Questions?
Leader of the Opposition.
Honourable Mr. Speaker, the question addressed to the Honourable Minister of Gender Equality and Family Welfare, whether in regard to cases of homicide perpetrated by intimate partners, she will state the number thereof for calendar year 2022 and from 1st January 2023 to date, indicating the number thereof having a history of domestic violence previously reported to the authorities under the Protection from Domestic Violence Act.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your very kind permission, I'd like at the outset to express my deepest sympathy to the victims of domestic violence and their families. It is always painful when domestic violence cases result in death. Un cas de violence domestique est toujours un cas de trop. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that during the calendar year 2022, 7 cases of homicide by intimate partners have been reported, out of which only 1 case had a history of domestic violence. For the period of January 2023 to October 2023, out of a total of 4 reported cases, 1 had a history of domestic violence. Mr. Speaker, sir, these cases are still under investigation by the police. According to estimates published in 2021 by the World Health Organization, globally, around 1 in 3 women worldwide have been subjected to either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence during their lifetime. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry is implementing a series of measures in terms of legislative framework, policies, procedures, and awareness campaigns, amongst others, to address the problem of domestic violence. On 25th of November 2020, the mobile application L'Espoir was launched as a rapid response system to victims of gender-based violence. In line with international experiences, such mobile app serves to increase victim safety by giving priority and enhanced access to support services at the touch of a button for those at great risk. The main specificities of the app, Mr. Speaker, sir, are rapid response by the police through a geo-localization feature, an information platform for all victims of gender-based violence to feel secure, protected, and taken care of by all concerned authorities in order to maintain a stable and a healthy life. This application was developed by the Prime Minister's Office in collaboration with the UNDP and has been entrusted to my ministry. Since its launching, as at 31st of October this year, 3,351 panic alerts have been recorded on the mobile application. Mr. Speaker, sir, awareness-raising campaigns are equally important to sensitize the public at large on the scourge of domestic violence and to inform them on the services available. My ministry also conducts awareness-raising campaigns using a wide network of social welfare centers, women's centers, and community centers. For a greater impact, my ministry is making use of innovative information, education, and communication strategies. For example, broadcasting of clips on NBC TV, social media, radio, and other platforms. The public is also encouraged through various awareness campaigns to report cases of domestic violence. In addition, my ministry has hotline 139, which is toll-free and accessible on a 24/7 basis to enable reporting of cases. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed that as at 30th of October this year, awareness campaigns on gender-based violence were conducted at Dr. A.G. Jitu Hospital, Victoria Hospital, Dr. Bruno Chong Hospital, Nehru Hospital, and SSRN Hospital, with 88 medical personnel being reached. Moreover, since 2019, my ministry is collaborating with the Prime Minister's Office through the Ensemble avec CSU program to conduct weekly awareness campaigns at community level throughout the island. As a matter of fact, from December last year to May this year, the Family Welfare Protection Unit of my ministry has participated in 16 CSU programs, Ensemble avec CSU of the Citizen Support Unit. For the period June of this year to the 6th of October this year, 43 Ensemble avec CSU programs were attended by officers of the Family Welfare Protection Unit of my ministry, including programs held in 7 CAB offices in parallel during last Wednesdays of every month. Mr. Speaker, sir, the National Strategy and Action Plan for the Elimination of Gender-Based Violence 2020-2024 was launched by the Honorable Prime Minister on 25th of November 2020. It is the blueprint outlining a coordinated multi-sectoral response for the prevention, response, and service delivery towards victims and survivors of gender-based violence. The High-Level Committee on the Elimination of Gender-Based Violence is chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister himself. It comprises sectoral ministers who oversee overall implementation and provide strategic oversight. At the 5th High-Level Committee held in November 2022, decision was taken to enlist the services of Mr. Jason Meyer, the international consultant, to conduct a midterm review exercise to ensure that the implementation of the National Strategy and Action Plan is on the right track and whether there is need to re-strategize. At the 6th High-Level Committee held in May this year, the said consultant presented his midterm review report. He acknowledged that progress has been made in the implementation of the plan, but he also cautioned on the fact that progress does not necessarily equate to success. He highlighted the areas where improvement was needed, which by 2024 has to be addressed. In his presentation, Mr. Speaker, sir, he highlighted the following areas for improvement: a baseline gender-based violence data to be prioritized, the continuation of capacity building initiatives to strengthen the shared understanding on gender-based violence, the evaluation of existing and planned programs, learning and adapting from these findings, and embedding a risk management approach to dealing with perpetrators of domestic violence. Mr. Speaker, sir, the next high-level committee is scheduled for the 23rd of November this year to report on the status on the implementation of all the recommendations made in the midterm review. My ministry has also signed an MOU with the Mauritius Research Institute Council to come up with a gender-based violence observatory. I am informed that the website and sensitization clips have already been worked out and will be launched shortly. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the financial year 2022-2023, provision was made for the setting up of a data repository for the collection of disaggregated data on domestic violence cases. In this connection, my ministry has also started consultation with the Ministry of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation and the Mauritius Emerging Technologies Council for the setting up of the data repository for the harmonization of data among all key stakeholders. This tool, Mr. Speaker, sir, will be critical to drive policy decision action plans. Mr. Speaker, sir, beside preventive measures, it is crucial to reinforce the legislative framework to ensure better protection of victims and hold perpetrators accountable for their acts. The Protection from Domestic Violence Act, which was enacted in the year 1997 to protect spouses from domestic violence, has been amended in 2004, 2007, 2011, and in 2016. Mr. Speaker, sir, with societal change, the nature of cases of domestic violence have evolved over the years. Therefore, it is imperative to come up with a new legislation to frame the entire issue of domestic violence. In this perspective, government approval was obtained in July 2023 to repeal the Protection from Domestic Violence Act and come up with a new piece of legislation to broaden the scope of the law regarding issues such as marital rape, perpetrator rehabilitation, only to name a few. In this respect, the new domestic abuse bill is currently under preparation. Drafting instructions have already been given to the Attorney General's office on the 29th of August this year for the new legislation. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to make a strong appeal to all the stakeholders to join hands together in combating the scourge of domestic violence.
Mr. Speaker, sir, firstly, in asking this PNQ, my thoughts are very much with the thousands of courageous ladies who have reported cases of domestic violence, and even greater number who suffer in silence. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister will know, as she has said, that collection of information is crucial in combating this scourge. I have read all the articles in the press. I have spoken to at least 3 families, and 90% of the cases have been reported previously to either the police or to your own ministry. Now, surely you have access, or your ministry has access to these press reports, and did you or did you not, at the time of the crimes being committed, contact the families and confirm or not the veracity of the press reports? And I will table at the end of the session a copy of each press report, but it's clearly stated that there will be numerous cases were reported to the police?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of Opposition will appreciate that I do not right now have specific cases and details thereof. So what I need to reassure the House and the population at large, Mr. Speaker, sir, is whenever the Ministry is aware of a case of domestic violence, the case is attended to. There is an entire structure, there are protocols that are adhered to, there are follow-ups that are maintained. We have a wide array of services that we offer to victims of domestic violence, Mr. Speaker, sir, and one of them being the follow-up that is maintained by family welfare protection officers of my ministry.
Honourable Minister, which of these two cases were reported to the, you mentioned one in every year had been reported to the police. Which case, according to you, had been reported, please?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the cases that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is referring to, first of all, they're still under investigation. The case, the most recent case that he is making reference to, was not known to my ministry, Mr. Speaker, sir. Like I said, and I reiterate, every case that is known to my ministry by any way, whether it is by way through a hotline, by l'espoir, through the police, through anonymous reporting, every case is attended to. Therefore, it is misleading to say that the ministry was aware of the case and not taken appropriate action towards the case, Mr. Speaker, sir.
It's taken 15 minutes to tell us that collection of information is important. Cases occur, people say it's reported to the police and to her ministry, and nobody has any follow-up, and she refuses, rightly so, to tell us which of the two cases have actually been reported, because the rest of the families would be up in arms against the government, I can assure you. I'd like to ask the Minister, Honourable Mr. Speaker, this question. The number of cases reported have jumped sky high. We are talking about police and FPU, 8,600 in 2022, and 7,000 this year to date. These are your figures, which are also given in the radio by your employee, your colleague, recently. But would you be surprised, Mr. Speaker, that only 234 protection orders were issued, according to Maurice statistics? Only 234 protection orders were issued against these thousands in 2022, compared to nearly 500 protection orders issued in 2016, the last time that we were in government. In 2016, 500 protection orders, despite lower reporting, and last year, 2022, only 234. Why has the number, this is a fact now, why, and I'll say a clear question, why has the number of protection orders issued fallen dramatically by more than half?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm very happy to see the Leader of Opposition acknowledging that our sensitization campaigns are bringing the results that we seek, which is a rise in the number of reported cases. When we talk about the spike in the number of reported cases, we are talking about tangible results of these awareness campaigns, of all the measures being undertaken by government. Allow me to answer, Leader of Opposition. Mr. Speaker, sir. The rise, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the number of reported cases is testimony that we are able to now break the glass ceiling, that our victims who are undergoing abuse are now coming forward to report cases of abuse. So to me, it is a theory of glass, half glass full, half empty. So that can explain the rise in number. Let me answer your question, Mr. Speaker, sir. When it comes to protection orders, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have to understand that most of the victims of domestic violence happen to be adults. Adults have the right of self-determination. We cannot impose an adult to put a charge or enter a statement at the level of the police station or press charges. The protection order is issued by a court of law. If the victim is unwilling to obtain a protection order, in so many cases we come across that, this is where we reinforce our awareness campaign. This is where we reinforce our sensitization about their rights. So the number of protection orders, Mr. Speaker, sir, the one that the Leader of Opposition is making reference to, it cannot be forced upon the victim. I hope that this is quite clear.
Mr. Speaker, despite what the Minister is saying, her own report, National Gender Policy 2020, this is what it says at page 24, she may have forgotten. Domestic and intimate partner violence has been on the increase in the recent years. It's not just a question of reporting. Your own report says that it is on the increase. So it's good that we all open our eyes. As for the number of protection orders falling dramatically, is the Minister saying that somehow officers of her ministry are now unable to encourage victims of violence to come forward to the courts and ask for protection? Is that what you're saying? They were more successful before and now much less successful? This is what you're saying?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I will repeat it. Because of reported cases, increase in the number that you see that is being recorded as reported is precisely because the women are more aware of their rights and because all the measures taken by government, by this government, are yielding tangible results. I have, in my main reply, Mr. Speaker, sir, spoken about the high-level committee chaired by the Prime Minister. There has never in the history been such a commitment at the highest level of governance to combat gender-based violence. This is a high-level committee. I mean, the question pertains to homicide leading to death from such and such period. Mr. Speaker, sir, domestic violence is not a new feature. It is not a new societal scourge. It has existed. And I would like to make an appeal to the Leader of Opposition to try not to mystify the entire problem, shrouding it according to social status. We at the ministry, the police will confirm, we have seen perpetrators being lawyers, doctors, journalists. So it is not limited to a certain social status. It is a nationwide, it is an international problem. And the results of our measures being taken, the steps being taken by this government, qui depuis 2005 jusqu'à 2014 pas de violence domestique, where was the commitment then? Where was the commitment by previous government to combat this scourge? The problem, let me finish. The problem was domestic violence, Mr. Speaker, sir, is not limited to the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family Welfare. It has never been. And the setting up of the high-level committee chaired by the Prime Minister himself is testimony enough to demonstrate that this problem is being tackled from the root. The high-level committee comprises of no less than 11 line ministries with a very, very diligent reporting system and output indicators that show very clearly that we are inching forward and we are making progress when it comes to combating. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, if you'll allow me, the domestic abuse issue that is being discussed today, it is not the problem of only the government or the Ministry of Gender Equality or the Minister of Gender Equality. It is everybody's problem. And the solution should be everybody's as well.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister is answering lengthy replies because she cannot deal with the facts. And the facts is her own ministry said that the domestic violence is increasing and it is a great domestic problem. This is our own report. Now, Mr. Speaker, as far as results are concerned, I had a look at the number of cases lodged under the Domestic Protection Act. Okay, the number of cases, Mr. Speaker. Would you be surprised, you will not be surprised, Mr. Speaker, that the number of cases lodged in 2016 were 2,300. And this has fallen to 1,300, 1,000 less cases lodged in 2022 than in 2016, many years ago. And under her stewardship, the number of cases lodged has steadily fallen. So not only more cases have been reported because of drugs, alcohol, it's on the abuse, it's on the increase. Everybody in Mauritius knows that. You cannot deny it, not just the reporting, but the number of cases are increasing, one. Secondly, no protection order. Thirdly, no, 1,000 cases less lodged in 1 year. The minister should be ashamed. She should not reply in Creole as well. And no swearing, please. No swearing and no Creole.
What that question is?
The question is, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, why has the number of cases lodged fallen by 1,000 annually? Why?
No.
Straight question.
No, you said no swearing.
No, I said no swearing, yes, and no speaking in Creole. I did say that, yes.
No,
Is something wrong with that?
That was only a little piece.
Yes, only a little piece. Ignore it.
Mr. Speaker, sir, again, the application for a protection order rests on the victim, Mr. Speaker, sir. The officers of my ministry, the police officers for that matter, cannot force a victim to lodge a complaint. I think I have made that extremely clear in my initial answer.
Mr. Speaker, she may not be aware of the practice in the UK, where even if a victim wants to not to proceed with the case, provided she has signs of violence on her, the police refuse to relent and to yes. Something I said wrong?
Allow me.
Yes.
Your question is related under the Protection from Domestic Violence Act,
Yes.
which is local.
Yes.
You are referring to...
Of course, because if we don't, but she has taken, excuse me, Mr. Speaker, I don't understand, because she herself has taken Mr. Mark Tyler from Australia.
Put a question.
Okay, she has taken Mr. Mark Tyler from Australia, so I'm not allowed to mention UK, she can mention Australia.
putting the question.
Now, come on,
Give me
Mr.
a
Speaker,
reply.
be reasonable, be reasonable. She mentions
Give me-
Australia, I cannot
listen,
mention UK.
Honorable Leader of the
Yeah.
Opposition, you listen, I'm on my feet.
I'm listening.
When you put a question, you don't have the right to refer because your question is related to a specific act, Domestic Violence Act, which is local act.
Mr. Speaker.
Wait, you are going lengthy in your statements and declarations. I ask you to put a specific question
Yes.
related to this Domestic Violence Act. Go ahead.
You will realize that she opened the debate when she talked about everything else apart from murders. So I'm sure you have listened to that. Now, this is the question. Question is, the police, her statement is the police cannot force people. I'm telling her that internationally, police refuse to relent on cases where there are specific signs of violence, and I'm asking her whether she should not insist that the police should proceed whatever pressure the victim may be under in her household. That is the question. Is it a valid question? Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
Never too late to learn.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
You answer.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I can reassure the House and the Leader of the Opposition that
You answer.
any victim that is at the level of the police station is accompanied by a team comprising of family welfare protection officers or psychologists, eventually will, upon issuing of a form, will undergo a medical checkup. So what I'm trying to say, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that according to the protocol that my ministry and the Brigade pour la Protection de la Famille have already signed and applied, we work together. But at the end of the day, as much as we can encourage the victim to lodge a case, as much as we can, that the only one thing that we cannot do is to force the victim to lodge a complaint. I think the Honourable Leader of the Opposition can appreciate what I'm saying.
The public will appreciate that you are much less successful encouraging people than previous persons who are in the same post that you are at. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister whether in fact, what is the matter now? What is the matter now?
Leader of the
Yes.
Opposition, you can't make insinuations. You can't compare a minister with this government, the other government. Don't do that. Apologize for that.
And she compared us to before.
Apologize for that.
She compared to 2004 to 2016. Why did you not raise it?
You are talking
Why
about
did you not raise
minister.
it when she said 2004 to
You are
2016?
talking about minister.
I'm talking about government, not minister. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'd
This
like to ask the Honourable Minister, with your kind permission, let me do my constitutional duty, please.
I am doing my
Yes, let me do my constitutional
The House of
duty.
Parliament is-
I've been appointed under this constitution to ask a PNQ. Please let me get on with it.
I am regulating the business
I
of the
have a
House.
constitutional duty to ask this question to the Honourable Minister.
And
Now,
time is
I like
running. You're not putting questions.
I like to ask the Honourable Minister, following my constitutional duty, to ask a PNQ every Tuesday. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, why is it that we know that in fact deaths occur, murders occur, because victims go back to the household and they are killed by their husband many times like this. Only women have died, Mr. Speaker. Now, I'm trying to be calm, you see. Now, the problem is on the question of occupation orders, where in fact the husband is told to go away and to leave the house. Only two, Honourable Minister, occupation orders were issued in the whole year 2022. This is about a third and less than had been issued in previous years. There's an issue, you see, of occupation orders. Occupation orders were introduced in law in 2016 by a PMSD minister. Now, why is it that under this government, I didn't say minister, this government, you will appreciate, this government, there's only been 2 occupation orders issued, and I'm told by magistrates that the major reason is that your ministry, your officers that accompany the persons, do not ask for occupation orders.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am not very sure what your Honourable Leader of Opposition is told and what not. Once again, it has to be noted and made clear that occupation orders are issued by a court of law. It is issued based on a report provided by a panoply of services, be it psychosocial report, medical social worker report, police report. It is issued by a court of law. Therefore, it is very inaccurate for the Leader of Opposition to come and say that because our officers are not making the requests for protection orders. This is completely misleading, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, quite clear that the Honourable Minister doesn't know that her ministry needs to ask for this, and it is for the magistrate to accept or refuse. The magistrate himself doesn't know enough of the case to ask for an occupation or to give an occupation order when her ministry has failed to ask for it. Now, Mr. Speaker, I come to other issues because it's a fascinating subject which really affects human rights of the majority of our population, which are women. Mr. Speaker, as far as we know, shelters. There have been 4 shelters for yonks, about 100 places for both women and children. So about 60 women also for all these hundreds of thousands of cases. Now, these shelters are often full. Most of the time they are full. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, what emergency procedure do you have in place when, as is often the case, shelters are full and battered women cannot access these shelters? What do you do with them? Do you put them in a hotel? Do you put them in a hostel? What do you do with these women who do not have, maybe you'll get a piece of paper in a moment, with these women who are unable to find places in shelters?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not need the permission of the Leader of the Opposition to receive a piece of paper. Thank you. I would like to reassure the Leader of the Opposition and the House that our shelters for victims of violence are, he needs to substantiate what he has just said. They are being full, and I don't know where you got the statistics from, but as far as I am informed, victims who need to be placed in shelter and agree to be placed in such institutions are placed in those institutions.
May I ask the Minister whether...
Time is over.
So you've just got my signature?
Time is over.
No, but
Honourable members, the table has been advised. Please. Are you fighting the chair? Are you? Time is over. Honourable members, the table has been advised that PQ B 1369 will be replied by the Honourable Prime Minister, time permitting. Prime Minister's question time. Honourable Two.
Et voilà donc pour cette PNQ de Xavier Duval adressée à Kalpana Kunjusha, donc un PNQ qui est axé sur la violence domestique. Xavier Duval qui questionne la ministre des Genres et du bien-être de la famille par rapport à un homicide qui commettre en 2022 mais aussi de janvier 2023 à ce jour qui est lié à la violence domestique. Les fins oulé aussi connaît le nombre de suspects qui ont un antécédent de violence domestique précédemment qui fin signalé à une autorité conformément à la loi prévention de la violence domestique. Alors d'abord, Kalpana Kunjusha fin dire qu'il sympathise avec une victime de violence domestique. Il dit c'est toujours un cas de trop. Il dit qu'en 2022, il y a 7 cas d'homicide et 1 cas avec un antécédent de violence domestique. Et pour l'année 2023, de janvier à ce jour, il y a 4 cas d'homicide avec 1 cas d'antécédent domestique. Alors, il dit que dans le monde, les 3 madames victimes de violence domestique, il cite une série de mesures qui prend par le gouvernement, notamment l'application mobile l'espoir qui finit lancé en 2020, donc qui permettent d'abord à la police pour localiser la victime, ensuite donne donc tout le support qui besoin. Et l'idée qui campagne de sensibilisation est bien important. Alors il fait notamment site vidéoclip, l'idée qui peut encourager les victimes pour briser le silence. Et depuis 2019, l'idée le ministère avec CSU lance une campagne de sensibilisation. Il y a aussi un plan d'action pour l'élimination de la violence domestique qui finit mettre sur pied en 2020 et implémentation justement en bonne voie selon le consultant australien qui finit reconnaître qui finit un progrès qui finit faire. Et Kalpana Kunjusha dit qu'il y a important pour venir de l'avant avec la loi New Domestic Abuse Bill qui est en préparation. Et Xavier Duval de ce côté fait saluer une victime qui a le courage pour venir de l'avant pour dénoncer. Et il peut dire que 90% de cas qui est rapporté à la police Pena suivi, Kalpana Kunjusha fin réplique il dit qu'aussitôt qu'il y a un cas qui est rapporté, aussitôt la victime est prise en charge et n'a un follow-up, il peut insister, Kalpana Kunjusha donc Xavier Duval plutôt qui dit que le nombre de cas de violence domestique en 2022 lit à 7 à 8 000. Et cette année, les 7000, il dit qu'il finit 234 protection orders en 2022 contre 500 protection orders en 2016. Alors, il peut dire, mais qui explique ça? Kalpana Kunjusha fin dire que c'est la cour qui émet protection order, pas capable d'obliger une victime pour demander un protection order. Et Xavier Duval dit donc Kalpana Kunjusha dit que c'est en raison de campagnes de sensibilisation qui le nombre de cas donc peut augmenter, cas de dénonciation. Et violence domestique, toujours selon Kalpana Kunjusha, c'est pas uniquement le problème du gouvernement, c'est le problème de tout un chacun. Xavier Duval on vit connaît qui fait le nombre de cas qui finit logés en 2016, il y a 2300 contre 1300 seulement en 2022. Et Kalpana Kunjusha fin dire encore, fin insister sur le fait que protection order c'est la victime qui besoin décider. Alors, par rapport à occupation order, l'autre question, alors juste avant, besoin dire qu'il y a un petit clash entre le speaker et Xavier Duval par rapport à une comparaison avec l'ancien régime. Et puis Xavier Duval pose la question l'occupation order. Il dit qu'ils idées fin émettre en 2022. Raison principale selon lui, c'est que le ministère pas fin fait demande. Kalpana Kunjusha fin dire que c'est inexact et inapproprié. Xavier Duval fin aussi cause le shelter, les envie connaît quand shelter full, qui fait avec victime qui pas gagne place dans shelter. Et Kalpana Kunjusha fin dire que Xavier Duval besoin substantiate, donc ça qu'il peut dire Jagdish.
Oui, voilà, Priscilla, c'était un très bon round-up de réponses qui nous ont gagné avec que Xavier Duval peut ou les prouver qui le nombre de victimes qui peut rapporter à la cour et le nombre de protection order qui peut délivrer, il est en baisse. D'après Xavier Duval, c'est un officier qui pas réussi, également la police qui pas réussi, donc convaincre les autorités, les autres autorités concernées pour qui au moins il y a sa décision, ça concernant surtout protection order, alors au moins ban femmes peut-être gagnent une meilleure protection. Alors c'est quoi une protection order? C'est le magistrat quand un cas devant la cour, les rapports à une dame qui est victime d'une violence domestique, il rapporte le cas à la police demande s'il peut la cour et il demande l'ordre de protection de la cour. Là, le mari pas gain droit à joindre lui, les bisins vivent séparément, capable dans même la case, mais seulement faut dépasser de joindre. Et il y a tout un critère qui est déjà établi autour d'une protection order. Et une fois la personne concernée, la victime, il y avait qu'un tel document, donc il être mieux protégé. Même si une organisation qui est concernée avec la violence féminine, la violence familiale, je peux trouver que sa protection order là aussi, il y a une bout de papier, pas capable, donc mon mari arrivé et je te faire fi de ce document-là et madame continue à être agressée, violentée et harcelée. Donc, c'est Xavier Duval peut dire, officier besoin convaincre femme qui est victime de violence domestique, je besoin au moins exiger qui avait, quand je dis devant la cour, je gagne sa protection order. Deuxième, il y a la question de l'occupation order, c'est-à-dire est-ce qu'il y a une femme qui a un droit occupe sur la case et le mari donc n'a pas gagne accès du tout. Et là, Xavier Duval peut dire pas fini n'a beaucoup, seulement 2 cas. Ensuite, la question de application mobile l'espoir, là quand même fini à 3351 cas de panique alert. Donc c'est un service qui est rapide. La ministre peut dire c'est un rapid response, c'est une structure qui met en place donc par le gouvernement et le nombre de cas, une indication d'ailleurs de femmes qui demandent protection et donc ça c'est un aspect qui est important. Ensuite la ministre peut cause formation qui peut faire surtout au niveau de l'hôpital que femmes victimes de Vini et là il y a environ 88 medical personnel médical qui ne déjà information quand man cas donc rapporté, je vais être au courant de la situation, comment je peux gérer une situation pareille. La stratégie nationale concernant la violence domestique, là, la ministre évoque un peu comment on rapporter toutes les mesures qui fin prend. Et en même temps, il fait un rappel qui la Domestic Violence Act, il modifie en 4 occasions, donc la loi peut consolider et sanction, condamnation peut venir beaucoup plus sévère. Alors, ce qui est expliqué que ça, la loi là, donc, il peut consolider depuis son introduction en 1997. Alors, Xavier Duval peut vous les montrer qui le gouvernement pas peut faire assez et il y a beaucoup de femmes, beaucoup de victimes qui pas peut gagner protection qui besoin et surtout qui la police et officier besoin être beaucoup plus convaincant vis-à-vis des victimes de violences domestiques.
Autant donc pour cette séance de PNQ, Jagdish.
C'est une question très sensible, comme on dit hier en début, et avant nous commence, écoute ma réponse qui tient là. Donc il y a un awareness campaign qui est en cours, c'est vrai, à travers la radio, la télévision, et la ministre il explique ça. Même le ban bis nous trouver, et il y a un panneau indicateur pour montrer et qui besoin une campagne de sensibilisation. Alors donc, c'est une question qui interpelle l'opinion publique tous les jours, surtout quand Banca vient beaucoup plus violent et beaucoup plus sérieux côté Naban mort. Et également, il y a des hommes qui sont victimes de violences, mais ça, c'est le pourcentage est très limité.
Très faible. En tout cas, Jagdish Doypol, merci beaucoup pour ce compte-rendu. Alors, à suivre de larges extraits de cette séance de la PNQ dans le journal de 13h.